Supercross is exciting.
Supercross is impressive. Supercross is thrilling.
Supercross is
Non-stop action. Monster Energy Supercross is physical. Supercross is bar-to-bar racing.
Supercross is all about the checkered flag.
Monster Energy Supercross is next. It has been a rainy couple of days here in Angel Stadium of Anaheim. They finally pulled the tarps off late this afternoon. The rainbow popped out and we're ready for a great night of mud racing here in Southern California. Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship is back in Southern California's Angel Stadium for the third and final time of 2009. Glad to have you all with us here tonight as we get set for 2 hours of great Supercross racing here on Speed. Ralph Shaheen, Jeff Emig, and Aaron Bates all with you. We're going to kick things off with the Supercross class. Coming up in our second hour, you'll see the Supercross Lights West Coast Championship, also here in Angel Stadium. A muddy racetrack should make for some killer racing.
There is no doubt about it, Ralph. It is a very challenging track tonight. Very short qualifying practice, only 10 minutes, and there was a lot of mistakes during that time. So the rider that can minimize the mistakes has the best chance of winning, but it's all about the start here in the heat race.
Here you see Chad Reed, the reigning champion of the #1 plate. Our starting grid in the hat across the top of your screen. Here we go for Angel Stadium. Chad Reed first to the corner, but he can't get the bike to turn. Big problems for Reed as the rest of the pack comes storming out of the corner with Ryan Villapoto grabbing the lead. And look at Heath Voss on the 13, fighting his way through the rhythm section.
That was like a pinball machine coming through there. And it's Andrew Short that comes out with the lead. Villapoto, #2, Green Kawasaki, the red rider, Andrew Short, somehow gets through all of that mess to take the all-important hole shot here on the first lap.
There you saw Reed buried back in the pack. Davey Millsaps is in there. Reed back in 7th place right now, trying to get around Heath Voss.
And at one point, Heath Voss said, "Oh, Tyler Bowers stalls."
Bowers has problems on the 911. Reed still right behind the former World Supercross champion, Heath Voss on the 13.
And Voss was up there off the start, manages to hold on to 5th place right now, just in front. Take a look at the start here. Millsaps actually gave it perfect, but it was Chad Reed that shot out, but he could not hold the inside line. And then look how many riders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders dart to the inside. Wow. Just came in there way too hot.
So right now, everybody chasing Andrew Short, and here comes Davey Millsaps, the rider on the number 18, as the 2 Red Bull Honda teammates get ready to go bar to bar. Here they come through the swath, and Millsaps makes the move. Through the whoops, and Millsaps locks down the lead position.
Well, and Millsaps has not had a great season
Short,
so far. Oh, there it is.
Jumping right back at him, Jeff. Can't get done, and Villapoto closes in on that Monster Energy Kawasaki.
Oh, Villapato's
down he
down.
goes. Villapoto with a huge mistake. He's down hard. Ryan Villapoto down hard in that one section.
And his helmet visor is off. He went down extremely hard. And as you look, 18 is all by himself, Ralph. Where is Andrew Short?
Short having problems as well. He's crashed as well behind Millsaps. Millsaps, your leader. That moves Tim Ferry up. Heath Voss comes up, and Chad Reed is now 4th, right in front of Boniface. And Reed now jumping past Voss. That'll put him up to 3rd.
Wow, what an exciting
And now he's
heat
going
race.
after Ferry. He's not done yet. So the reigning champ methodically picking his way through while everybody else crashes out. And Reed, the Australian, is in second.
Oh, and Reed misses the triple.
And look at Voss getting past Ferry as well. Heath Voss having a very good heat race here tonight. Chad Reed walking his way through. Filippo having problems. Watch the number 2 go down hard to the far right of your screen. Face planting into that jump.
Wow, that was vicious, Ralph.
And then problems for Short, too, as Shorty went down, and we'll be right back. Back with the action here in Anaheim. Davey Millsaps on the red number 18 in the blue riding gear is your race leader with just 2 laps remaining. That's Andrew Short that he's coming up to lap, who was challenging for the win here earlier. Back behind him on that yellow number 1 is Chad Reed, who holds second place. Heath Voss continues to have a great run in this heat. Jeff, he is sitting still in third, just in front of Tim Ferry and Tommy Hahn, who holds down 4th, 5th place right now.
And, you know, I had a feeling today that Voss, once it was raining, that he was really going to come out of his shell and put in a good ride. So far, he has been ultra competitive here in this heat race. Solid, former world champion. So, you're looking at number 1 here, Chad Reed, who's finding the fast line also.
And Reed's already had problems earlier this week on press day here at Angel Stadium, which was on Thursday. He crashed, got a little beat up, bruised up, but he's racing here tonight, one of the toughest guys in the field. Reed now working his way past Andrew Short as well. That's not a pass for position, but it's got to be awfully frustrating for Andrew Short.
But the good thing is that right before that rhythm section, Chad Reed got past him. He did a triple-triple at the end, and look how it's allowed him to close up on Millsaps. This is the final lap, so Chad Reed still has a shot at winning this heat race where 2.5, 3 laps ago it looked like he was totally out of it.
Yeah, and Reed has won a... Here he is, working his way around, chasing after him.
He's on the same section now. Any mistake by Millsaps, and that's going to allow Chad Reed to slide right on into the number 1 position.
Reed has won a handful of heat races this year. Millsaps has not. So this would be a huge boost for Millsaps, who had an 8th place finish in San Francisco, his best main event finish of the year. And it looks like he's going to get a heat race win. He does. Davey Millsaps, with a huge boost of momentum, takes the checkered flag here in the mud of Anaheim. There's the big monster board in the center of the field here. It shows you this, the top 9 riders. Davey Millsaps to Troy Adams going on to the main. Jared Jet Brown's going to go to the last chance qualifier. And we're going to Aaron.
Davey Millsaps celebrates his very first heat race win of the season. Davey, right out of the gate, you kind of took Chad Reed pretty high in that first corner. Would you consider that an aggressive pass?
No, I really didn't mean to. You know, I couldn't stop. He couldn't stop. And then Filippo came on the inside of me and pushed me even higher. So it wasn't intentional. I didn't mean to. But I had a good race. And I just want to thank America, Honda, Red Bull Racing, Oakley, everyone. Thank you.
Davey Millsaps, he's confident and rejuvenated.
All right, Aaron, thanks. And you know what? Next week, we're going to head a little further south down I-5, as you see here in our Toyota Moving Forward schedule. We're going to San Diego. Then it's off to Atlanta, Indianapolis, and the big Daytona International Speedway. Those are all upcoming dates. You can see all the action on TV, but we'd really love to have you there in person. Go to supercrossonline.com, get your tickets, and join this little one and the rest of us at the races. Monster Energy AMA Supercross coming back. These young fans having a great time here in Monster Energy AMA Supercross. Let's show you what they just saw. The highlights from heat number 2. And the gate dropped on this one. Mr. Pole Shot, Mike Alessi did it once again. Look at the 800 come screaming across.
Way from the outside, and he manages to just sneak by number 7, James Stewart, but then makes a huge mistake.
Yeah, and it went bad to worse, and then Stewart bobbles, and Alessi capitalizes once again. Everybody's struggling here tonight, but Stewart came rocketing through the woods.
And then after that, Stewart put on a riding clinic.
And then Alessi had more problems, buries the bike in the mud. He still amazingly got a transfer spot, though. And Stewart goes on to take the win, and a perfect season so far, and heat race wins. Look at the mud here in Angel Stadium. Wow. Top 9, James Stewart, Josh Hampton, and Manuel Rivas goes to the LCQ. And we go down to Aaron.
Another dominating performance by James Stewart. James, as though you made it look so easy, you're kind of having a problem on your left-hand side you kept pointing down to. What was going on?
You know, it's just mud got stuck in my bike, and, you know, we just got to fix that, which we will. And I feel all right. The track's gnarly, and, you know, we just got to ride pretty good and see what happens.
Slippery conditions out there, guys. We'll see what happens.
February 21st, AMA Supercross is live on Speed. Don't miss a minute of the action as world champions James Stewart and Chad Reed get vertical in Atlanta. Live coverage begins February 21st at 7:30 Eastern, only on Speed. And is that ever going to be awesome from the Georgia Dome? Let's show you the LCQ highlights from here tonight in Anaheim. And what a stacked field we had here. Andrew Short, Ryan Villapoto in this one. Villapoto struggling off the start. Jeff on that number 2.
And it was wet and wild there in the first turn. Riders making mistakes everywhere, but once again, it was Villapoto, same section that he crashed in the heat race, crashes out of the LCQ.
Gets going again, but decides not going to matter, so he leaves the racetrack, and Andrew Short goes on to take the checkered flag. He looked very good in his heat race, had to go through the LCQ, but he is going to the main. Might be able to put together a good race there tonight. Paul Carpenter finishes second, but other good mud riders like Jacob Marsack not in the main tonight. We did have some sunshine here today as the night fell and things started to dry out, but it was sunny and pretty warm during the pit party, and everybody had a good time as the pit party raged on here in Anaheim, enjoying the music and the good times at the races. Getting ready for a muddy main event here in Anaheim. Bull Run is coming, and the only place to see it is on Speed. There's Andrew Short. Talked to him earlier today. He says, I've really got my mental mindset. I'm ready to race in the mud. You know, he's one of the fastest riders in Supercross. However, he hasn't accomplished a lifelong goal of winning one of these races. Even though he hasn't been called a winner yet, they do say he's nice and extremely aggressive.
I think I've grown a lot from last year's Supercross season, just because I had one full season under my belt, and that base of riding and knowing what to expect week in, week out is what's going to help me improve for the following year. So experience is something you can't buy or get anyway other than being there week in, week out. And I think that's the biggest benefit I have going into the 2009 season.
Short absolutely hammered Chad Reed when Chad Reed did the slide job.
It's funny because a lot of people give me the reputation as being a nice guy, and I think that's my personality off the track. But once I get on the track, something kind of clicks, and even my teammate Davey Millsaps, he always says I'm the dirtiest guy ever. But you know, I race everybody the way I expect to be raced, and I don't want to do anything dirty, but at the same time, I work too hard to put my blinker on and let somebody by, or not give up a fight. So I love that part of racing, but once I take my helmet off when I get off the track, I don't have that same attitude in the rest of my life. My goals for the 2009 Supercross season are to be consistent. I know it's a long season, and that was one of my stronger points that I had when the series wrapped up. I think the biggest thing I lacked last year was a big standout ride and a first win like some of the other guys had. So that's what I'm looking for, because I've never done that before, and it'd be a huge step for me. I also think that once you achieve something like that, you know how to win, and you know how to get the second, and third, and fourth one. I think once I can do that, I can prove I can be up there week in, week out. So that's my biggest goal for the 2009 season, is to have a standout race and get that first win.
Andrew Short's best finish of 2009, right here. Anaheim 1, where he finished second to Josh Grant. Can he get a win tonight in the mud? Stay with us, find out. A week ago in San Francisco, James Stewart took another win. Chad Reed on that number 1, still trying to find a way to beat number 7. Welcome back to Angel Stadium. Ralph Shaheen, Jeff Emig with you, and Aaron Bates here as we get set for our 20-rider, 20-lap main event. Heat winners tonight. Davey Millsap's getting his first heat win. James Stewart getting another one.
Yeah, and Andrew Short taking that LCQ win to get in, and Ryan Villapoto is out.
Well, we're going down to Aaron for Progressive Pre-Race Report.
Every rider has their own preference and what they like done to their bike to modify it for muddy race conditions. Well, a couple of things. Tonight you're going to notice some hand guards on the bike, some inner grip thigh just to hold them onto the place, and also a grip on the seat to hold them down. Most importantly though, this foam. This foam is packed in every crevice you can possibly put that into the bike to repel the water, to repel the mud, to keep the bike from getting bogged down by all that extra weight. Also, tire selection tonight is going to be key. If you take a look, this one here is a mud tire opposed to a regular tire. The tread pattern is a little bit further apart, so that way when the dirt hits it, it actually spews out, it's gone, no weight there, but also the knob is a little bit taller to provide for a little additional traction on tonight's slippery conditions.
Got to disperse that mud and that water, Jeff.
Be
Just take a look
difficult.
at our track map.
Yeah.
You can, it's just covered, packed with mud.
Well, and they had this track covered earlier, and so that's why you see the tops of the jumps have been dry, but down beneath is wet, and all the wet stuff is just slopped everywhere, so no traction anywhere. The track is very one line tonight through some of the rhythm sections in. You know, start is definitely key.
Start is going to be key, and turn one probably even more important than that first drop of the gate, because if you go back to 2005, we had a real mutter here that night, and Ricky Carmichael had the lead, and then he went down, and then Chad Reed, he went down as well, and things just got even worse as James Stewart went down as well. Everybody was crashing. Kevin Windham ends up coming out a winner. Sounds a lot like Daytona last year too. And there you see Kevin Windham. When we had the muddiest race of all time at Daytona, he ended up the winner. Maybe tonight he can find his way to the top step of the podium for the first time this year.
Strong and steady, that veteran, the experience, but right here, this is a, you know, the track tonight is very difficult. It reaches out and bites you. You can see both of our championship points leaders line up side by side. The gate drop, who can have the ultra quick reflexes and get there first? We've seen many riders get in trouble here tonight.
Here we go, the mud race from Anaheim. Stewart gets a terrible start. Not that bad, he comes back to the inside, and then Reed. Stewart comes in second. Millsaps have the lead for a minute, and now Stewart starts to pull away, and here comes Reed battling back. He's in about sixth position. Josh Grant gets close to the top blocks, holds on to third, and now he comes to challenge Millsaps for second.
And I'm telling you, for our points leader and our reigning champion, Chad Reed, he was way behind at the drop of the gate. He was last place going into the first turn. Now he's setting in fifth position, making a charge on fourth.
Josh Grant, who won here in Anaheim the first time we visited Angel Stadium back to the first weekend in January, set sail as it looks like maybe Alessi on the 800 cal with Suzuki going down in the corner there, can't get the bike going.
Wow, the troubles for Mike Alessi tonight. He's got great starts, but been on the ground twice.
James Stewart trying to give Yamaha a complete sweep of Anaheim this year and a complete sweep of the season if he can hang on.
Well, and this really has been the story for Yamaha, is the starts of James Stewart and Josh Grant in the main events have been exceptional, whereas for Chad Reed, the reigning champion, his starts in the main event have not been up to par.
You can see he's right behind Kevin Windham on the number 14 Geico Power Sports Honda. And Reed riding not his normal race bike, but his practice bike.
Well, the testing machine, which is set up essentially the exact same, but definitely comfortable here tonight. Oh, he makes a little mistake in the rhythm section.
Jeff, a lot of that comes down to personal preferences. We talked to Mike Gosler, his mechanic, about that earlier today. You see Ivan Tedesco, Windham, and then here's Reed.
Well, definitely Gosler is one of those mechanics that has multiple championships. Chad Reed's looking to him for guidance, for help, to help get his third Supercross championship. It has really been tough the last 2 or 3 weeks, but we did speak with Mike, and he says, look, the last couple of weeks, some things haven't been right, but we think that we have them right this week. So we'll see what Chad Reed can do here in the next 17 laps to see if he can mount a charge for the lead, because right now Stewart is out front and he is gone, turning the best lap of the main event, a 1:01.1. Chad Reed at a 1:01.9. So Chad Reed much faster than the riders that are second through fifth just in front of him.
Reed trying to get around Wyndham. Went to the outside, cuts back inside. Comes over the double and takes a position away from Wyndham. So that'll move Reed up to 5th place now. And he'll start to go to work on Ivan Tedesco on that number 9.
And how about Tedesco this season? He has put himself in such a great position. It's been such a frustrating career since he's moved up from the lights. But now this season, he really has got things working good. Put him in a great ride here tonight, running in 4th. But I'm telling you, Chad Reed is on the gas. He's going to have his hands full with the reigning champion.
Right now, as you see it, Stewart would take over the points lead from Reed. Reed gets around Tedesco. That'll help him out some. It gives him 2 points. He'd still be 1 point behind Stewart.
So yeah, as they run right now, and Chad Reed's well aware of that, but hasn't this just been the story of the year for Chad Reed? He's put in these great rides, but I keep coming back to it. It's that you can't give a rider like James Stewart, well, I should say he's taking it. He's taking the start. Okay, at the top of the gate, he wants that. He's going out there and grabbing it, but for Chad Reed, you can't give a rider like James Stewart that sort of head start.
Can't give him any breaks.
Yeah, no breaks at all. Yeah.
9 and 14, Ivan Tedesco and Kevin Wyndham battling over. Should be 5th position here.
Couple of Red riders. We got Ivan Tedesco riding the Red Bull Honda, Wyndham on the Geico Power Sports Honda. So 2 separate teams, but Honda works together with both of these teams. They share information. They work together in this Supercross here to put the best bikes on the track that they can. But just an interesting scenario there.
The more important battle on the racetrack is this one for 3rd. This is going to be Reed and Millsaps. As Heath Voss has problems. Reed needs to get around Millsaps.
Millsaps having a great night here. Definitely with the starts, that's been key.
This would be a huge move for the championship points battle. It'll put him back into the points lead in front of Stewart if he can just get around Millsaps. And remember, Millsaps came off of a season best finish of 8th at San Francisco a week ago, and his first heat race win of the year earlier here tonight. So Millsaps riding stronger. How much of the fact that Millsaps is running good here in the mud has anything to do with his size? Anything? He is one of the bigger riders.
He triples by.
Oh, look at that. There it is. Put Reed back into the points lead.
Well, I think the old adage back in the 70s and 80s is that a taller rider really had an advantage, but I don't think so these days. And, you know, the taller the rider, the bigger the boots that you have. You know, Millsaps, I'm going to venture to say he wears an 11 or 12, and so on a muddy night like this, you get into some of these ruts, catch your toe in the mud, it rips your leg off, you know, rips your boot off. So it almost, you know, I would say that it would be a disadvantage.
Back to the battle between Tedesco on the number 9, Kevin Wyndham on the number 14. Wyndham's such an interesting story, Jeff. He's such a great rider, such a nice guy, a true fan favorite. Not one of those riders that you ever hear anybody booing when he gets through rider introductions.
Well, that's consistency and effort over such a long career, 94 when he became a professional. And, I mean, he started races before Ricky Carmichael and is racing after Ricky Carmichael. What's that say? You know?
Here's a battle between Matt Bonney and Andrew Short. This is for 9th. Bonney holds that position right now. Short trying to take it away from him. I talked with Andrew earlier today. Here he comes, trying to get to the outside. Makes the double and takes the spot away, so move Andrew up into 9th. He said, I've spent so much time working with my new trainer, and that it's really made a difference on me mentally, and a lot of that came to racing here in the mud tonight. He said, normally I'd come to one of these mud races and I'd just be out of it, as we see Nick Way coming inside of Bonnie as well, and that'll move him up a position into 10th.
Well, and you might think with Andrew Short that having to go through the LCQ and then just passing for 9th place here in the main is an off night, which it is, but without that sort of mental strength and that sort of, attention that he's paying to that race, to his racing, on a night like tonight, it might be even worse. He might not have even made the main.
That new trainer, by the way, Jeff Spencer, who also works with Kevin Windham. And there you see Reed getting by Josh Grant. And that'll move him up to 2nd. And that'll, oh boy, look at Grant trying to jump back past by him.
Well, Reed made a huge mistake there, and Grant had to jump to the left, and he's so fortunate that he kept it inside the tough blocks and on 2 wheels. But look at Chad Reed. He was dead last going down the start straight. There was nobody behind him. Oh, and Grant went down at the top of your screen.
He sure did, and now you see the points have changed again. Reed back in front of the points. 3 between him and Stewart. So Stewart will continue to chip away at it. But Reed had lost it earlier tonight and gains it back. He is just relentless, isn't he?
Yeah, and notice the points as they run. You did not see Villapoto. Devastating not making it out of that LCQ.
Crashing in the LCQ. And everybody chasing this guy once again. James Stewart, so incredibly impressive. Stewart on his way to another victory here tonight. It's Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship working its way to the halfway point here in Anaheim. Here at Angel Stadium as he chases maybe another victory here tonight. He won earlier this year at Phoenix, won at Anaheim 2, won in Houston, won at San Francisco. He's on a streak going for 5 in a row.
And James Stewart just lapping 10th place, which was Nick Way, got a 10-second lead over 2nd at the 10th lap.
At the halfway point, Stewart putting on another James Stewart-esque performance, which if you've been watching Supercross for any period of time, when Stewart gets going, boy, is he devastating.
He definitely is, and this track here tonight, which was so difficult and it was so risky, some of the rhythm sections, which you had to learn quickly, this is where James Stewart just has excelled. His talent on a motorcycle and his ability to jump those rhythm sections and how he sees the track, how he trusts his skills, he has confidence in himself. I mean, we're halfway through this race and he's already worked his way into the top 10, lapping into the top 10.
Tedesco and Millsaps, that battle now heating up as Tedesco has gotten away from Windham. He is now up to 3rd as he has gotten around Millsaps, and what a great ride for Ivan Tedesco. This would be his season best finish. His best so far was a 4th place effort at Phoenix.
Well, Ivan Tedesco had some phenomenal races here some years ago when he was a lights champion. And I'm sure that got his mojo working, and it's got to be a great feeling here because since he stepped up to the big bike class, he's had some rough rides, but 2009, he has really been dialed in. He's been smoother. I've noticed with his technique has smoothed out a lot. You know, his riding style, and his starts have been great.
This would be a season best finish for Millsaps too. Remember, he had that just a week ago in San Francisco where he finished 8th. Bettering that by at least 4 positions right now as he sits in 4th.
And that's got to be frustrating if you won a main event, but yet to date, your best finish has been an 8th. That's been a pretty frustrating season so far for Millsaps.
Well, it might be a podium finish here tonight because he's not done battling with Tedesco. These two still going at it.
You can see as they go down this rhythm section how they all just funnel right into one line here. Millsaps wanted to triple there, but Tedesco was right in the line. He made a couple of mistakes going through there. You see typically the riders wouldn't follow like that. Millsaps is going to the inside. Oh, Tedesco also. That inside is finally dried up enough to where they can take that right-hander on the inside and get a little bit of drive for the triple.
Jeff, I've got to give a big round of applause to the guys who've worked so hard to get this track ready here tonight, because they've done an excellent job of maintaining this racetrack on a very wet week here in Southern California. And now finally, as we're past the halfway point on what has been a very dry race time, the rain's starting to fall once again here in Angel Stadium. So that could change things a little bit with 8 laps to go, because the track has been excellent, all things considered.
Well, and there was Ivan Tedesco, just really lost traction with the rear tire in the final turn in the rain. Like you said, it's starting to come down, and what's going to make that so difficult is now the good line, the race line, is that shiny dry line. You can see right here where Ivan Tedesco goes. That shiny line, once the rain hits that, it's going to be like ice. So with 8 laps to go,
But here's one more thing. Oh, Tedesco stumbles coming out of that corner, and Millsaps retakes third. And Jeff, here's one other thing about that, is you see the raindrops pelting the surface here in Anaheim. You saw that mud tire that Aaron showed. Some of the guys might have gambled a little bit, thinking the track was maybe going to stay drier all the way through the main event, and now all of a sudden the rain coming down as hard as we've seen it all day here in Anaheim. And you mix in the fact that we've got heavy traffic for James Stewart, changing track conditions. This thing is far from done. And let me throw one more thing out at you. Today is the 12th time James Stewart has started here in Anaheim. He's crashed 5 times here in Anaheim out of those 11 previous starts. He's also won here 5 times out of those 11 previous starts. You never know what's going to happen with James. If he stays upright, chances are pretty good he's going to win. Yeah, but on a night like tonight, you never know.
Yeah, and the track, as you can see, the rain on our screen in HD is starting to come down, and what's going to be difficult for James Stewart is going to be to dial it back some. You notice his mechanic rode smooth on the board. You can see down this main line, because Stewart had the track dialed, running a 59.6. Actually, Chad Reed ran a 59.4, was his best lap. Chad Reed absolutely on the gas right now, but is for James Stewart through these very treacherous, tricky rhythm sections, is to know when the traction has gone away and when, with 5.5 laps to go, when it's time that I can pull back a little bit.
Stewart's best season here in Anaheim was back in 2007 when he swept all 3 rounds here at Angel Stadium.
And it only takes an instance to go into a turn here where the berms are hard packed on the top. You go and grab a little bit too much front brake, wash the front wheel out, so he's going to be very careful here.
Look at the rain coming down, Jeff. And we actually talked about the fact that he crashed here back in 2005 in a very muddy race. And boy, can you see that rain coming down as we wait for Chad Reed. There he is in that #1 Rockstar Makita Suzuki, working his way around Heath Voss.
He's not giving up. Chad Reed is on the gas still, but just a horrible lap that time around. Caught so much traffic. We just mentioned how he set the fastest lap of the night, a 59.4. That time around, Ralph, 104.8. Horrible lap for Chad Reed.
4 seconds slower than James Stewart.
Yeah, so that's a huge gap there that is really going to be a setback.
What a night it has been for Chad Reed. 2-time champ, the reigning champ, struggled when the gate dropped, and that set the tone for this main for him.
It did, and look, out of the gate, Chad Reed just way back in the back. Manages to get through. Makes this pass on Millsaps in traffic with all the downed riders everywhere.
Fortunately, before those yellow flags.
Yeah, but this is the pass on Josh Grant. This is for second. I mean, just incredible rides by Chad Reed, but it's still second, and he can't afford to give those points up.
No, he sure can't. And unfortunately for Chad, his season has been...
Whoa!
Oh, that could have been huge.
Woo!
That could have been absolutely huge. Chad Reed's results page, as you look at the 2009 season, just full of second places, except for here in Anaheim 1, where he finished 3rd behind Josh Grant and Andrew Short. And that was the night he really needed to capitalize on, because that's the night that Stewart finished 19th.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about as we take a look at this mistake by Chad Reed as he comes out of that tight right-hander. Here he now grabs a little handful, and watch him in that deep, deep rut, just gasses it. And so fortunate that when he landed to not catch those ruts that are through there and to have it take the front wheel out. And as they run right now, Chad Reed, still your points leader, 3 points ahead of James Stewart. So the crash, and look how wet it is now, Ralph. Now
it's changed completely.
Really changed, yeah. And any riders that were thinking, okay, I'm going to pull some tear-offs because it's not raining, hopefully they still have some on here at the end of the race.
Aaron, it's looking like an absolute monsoon out there right now.
That's for sure, to say the least. But this is the one thing that all the riders on the line were saying, man, I sure hope that the conditions stay the way they are, because if it does start to rain halfway through this main event, that's when the conditions are going to be extremely slippery. It's a hard base underneath, a slimy top. It's just like riding on a skate rink, they said.
Well, 3 laps to go, Jeff. Anything can happen. Just a little bit too much throttle, as you saw Reed trying to catch a glimpse of where is Stewart. The gap between the two, just under 11 seconds. But in these conditions, just a little bit too much throttle can change everything.
Yeah, and Chad Reed, I've noticed he has
6.5 seconds, Jeff. He's gained
close.
4 seconds on it.
And it's tougher for the leader to get through these lapped riders.
And that's partially because of this right here. Watch this with Stewart.
Through the whoops here, starts to get a little sideways, starts slipping and sliding around. Whew, and this thing, like you said, it's not over yet.
And Jeff, I mean, it is coming down in buckets.
Same section.
Here's Stewart again through the whoops. Oh, boy, he gets through there so
well.
well.
The rear tire's just spinning. James is on the throttle, but the bike just will not move forward. That rear tire will not dig into this hard clay. Oh, and Stewart makes another mistake.
And that's going to cost him more time. And there's Reed at the back end of that straightaway. Here he comes. He is closing in on Mike Alessi. Alessi gets out of the way. Reed can see Stewart now. That, Jeff, when you can see the guy you're chasing, making you the hunter, is so much easier to find that extra momentum. Final lap is coming up. Can Stewart hang on to take another win here this year?
Pressure is on James Stewart. He's led the whole race. He has one more lap to go, mistake-free, and he will have another win in the books. But look at the rain coming down. Chad Reed at the top of your screen. It's so close.
Chad Reed doing everything he can to reel in James Stewart.
The crowd is going crazy here in Anaheim. The rain is coming down. No one has left the stadium.
Stewart going for his 30th career AMA Supercross win. He's 4th all-time on the list. There you see number 7.
Tons of lappers in front of him.
One of which is Ivan Tedesco. So they are working their way up to lapping 5th place right now. The rain just coming down in buckets, and Stewart trying to get another win. This will be his 5th win of the year, his 5th in a row. He's 1 quarter away from it. Wow. James Stewart has done it. 5 wins in a row for number 7. James Stewart takes a huge win. That one could make a big difference in this championship. He closes the gap to 3 between him and Chad Reed. Now, here comes some of the battles back behind him. Millsaps going for his season best finish of 3rd. Grant trying to close in.
Whoa!
He cases that triple, and he's off the track. This could be the first time Grant finishes outside of the top 5 this year.
He keeps the engine running, Ralph. He's got it back going.
But those plywood boards are so slippery. Here he comes. He's back on the track. Let's see if he can hold on for a top 5. Millsaps would be 3rd if he can get to the line. If he can stay in front of Tedesco and wind him, he'll hold on for another top 5. There you see Josh Hill.
Here's the
He's
battle.
an 8th. Here they come to the line. There's Millsaps and Tedesco. That's a battle for 3rd. Millsaps trying to get to the line. He's going to get 3rd. Tedesco's going to get 4th. And where is Grant? Timing and scoring shows that Grant gets 5th. He holds on for another top 5. We'll be back. Welcome back to a rainy Angel Stadium in Anaheim. And 6 straight wins this season for Yamaha. And here's the progressive hole shot replay where this one got underway.
And it was James Stewart there, number 7 on the San Manuel Yamaha. Sneaks around the inside. See him just skating around so patiently. We've seen Stewart do that so many times. Incredible start and incredible finish.
Let's show you the results. Big story there is Reed battling back to second because that's going to give him that points lead again for another week.
Holds on to the points lead. He gave up 3 more points. But I'm telling you, there were battles all throughout the field tonight.
Let's go to Aaron.
What a night it's been for Davey Millsaps. Not only did he win his heat race, he makes it up onto the podium for the first time this season. Davey, what does this do to rejuvenate your confidence for the rest of the season?
I don't know, it's definitely good. I had a good race going. Me and Ivan were battling all the time, and it was a fun race. I got tired, I'm not going to lie. The track was really hard, and I was a little nervous. I was up in front. It was different this year, but can't have done it without American Honda, Red Bull Racing. My mechanic, Carlos, my trainer, Johnny, my fiance, Brittany. Just everyone's been behind me.
Congratulations tonight. Great to see you back up in the box.
Vegas, as we settle this great championship fight, and look how good it's getting. Our next stop on the tour is going to be San Diego's Qualcomm Stadium, home of the Chargers, and Chad Reed and James Stewart battling with 3 points separating them, Aaron.
Chad Reed put in another hard charge again this evening at the Angel Stadium. Chad, it seems as though coming in, you've lost your mojo a little bit from the start of the season. What's going on?
This weekend I felt a lot better. I felt my riding was great, and I put some good consistent laps together, and that's what it takes. And just my start, I'm just not nailing it, and I'm just inconsistent, and that's what I got to work on. And so we got some work to do. It's all up to me, and James is riding awesome right now, so it's good for the battle. I want to thank all the guys at Rockstar Makita Suzuki. They built a great bike tonight, and we put it up here in the box. All the guys at Scott, Thor, Parts Unlimited, guys at Bridgestone. Bridgestone was real important this weekend. So, thanks for everyone and the fans for sticking around in the rain.
Way to put in another Ironman effort. Congratulations.
Well, we'll see if he can do anything with those starts before San Diego. I mentioned a little bit about James and how he runs here at Anaheim, but look at over his entire career. 46 starts, 16 times he's crashed, but if he stays upright, he's won 30 of those. Without crashing, he is 100% your winner, Aaron.
Nothing but determination for James Stewart. James, halfway through the main event, all of a sudden the rain started to come down. How much did the track conditions change?
It changed a lot. I had a good pace going, and I saw Chad drop it down to 59, and I dropped it down to 59, but, it changed a lot. I just got to give it a look out to Bridgestone tires. For those guys, I'd be sliding all over the place. My team, San Manuel, Yamaha, Red Bull, and Segura, Oakley goggles, everybody. I got to thank everybody.
James Stewart closing in on that points lead. Only 3 points separate him and Chad Reed.
Yes, he is. And don't forget, we're going to be doing Atlanta live February 21st. AMA Supercross is live on Speed. Don't miss a minute of the action as world champions James Stewart and Chad Reed get vertical in the Georgia Dome. Live coverage begins February 21st at 7:30 Eastern, only on Speed. And is that ever going to be good? Well, big rain at the end of the main and a full moon gave us just what we expected.
Well, it was an incredible main event, and the riders had to battle this treacherous track, and James Stewart made it look easy.
Final trip to Anaheim, we're off to San Diego. For Aaron Bates and Jeff Emig, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long for Angel Stadium. Congratulations, James Stewart.